All over Britain, there are archaeological sites that are too dangerous to access or excavate. They could contain unique and valuable evidence of our past, which, if not investigated, will be lost forever. EXA is a team of highly skilled archaeologists. Katie Hurst, in charge of excavation. Alice Roberts, doctor and expert in human bones. Meg Waters, geophysicist and digital imaging specialist. All experts in their chosen fields who are determined to get into these inhospitable places to forensically assess, survey and extract the evidence. The expedition leader will be me, Mark Davis, volcanologist, climber, caver and diver. This is archaeology on the very edge. This week we delve in deep beneath a Scottish castle, investigating legends of smugglers and cannibals. What we find proves to be far more mysterious. This is Culzean Castle in Ayrshire, Scotland, perched precariously on a cliff above the Firth of Clyde. 100 feet below me is an impressive fortification that barricades the entrance to a mysterious cave complex. Inside there's several chambers, complete with walls, doors, even windows, so someone built them for a very specific reason. EXA's objective is to unravel some of the mysteries associated with this magnificent monument. Culzean Castle, built in 1780 by Robert Adam in the Scottish baronial style, stands on the site of a much earlier medieval castle. The fortifications below were already here when Adam began his building works. But no record exists of when or why they were built. In the 1960s, a group of cavers carried out some amateur excavations inside the cave complex. They apparently found lots of animal bones and broken glass. Not exactly earth-shattering, but valuable dating evidence nonetheless. One of the broken glass bottles had an inscribed date and place. Culzean, 1741, an archaeologist's dream find. Unfortunately, all of the cavers' finds have now been lost. We've been invited here to undertake a forensic investigation of the caves. Alice is going to try and find more bones. Meg's faced with the daunting task of surveying the entire cave. And Katie is going to open up some small test pits to try and understand the archaeology. But first, they have to get down to the site.
It's going to be a drop of about 1.5 foot as the road reaches the lip.
It is possible to get to the cave system by following a cliff-top path down into an adjacent bay and then scrambling over that headland and this one. However, we've already had one near accident, so I've asked the delivery team to come up with a rope access system to ferry all the archaeologists and the equipment down to the excavation site.
The route around the rocks only applies at low tide. At high tide, the cave complex is completely cut off. We're going to need access all hours.
Oh, Jesus.
As a safety precaution, we've anchored their ropes to our Land Rover and protected the soft sandstone castle from unnecessary erosion.
We've got to do the splits. The window. Oh, yeah, coming.
When you are going,
Abseiling gives the team a bird's eye view of the site and the opportunity to look for any surface finds.
Aha! A cup. Not very old at all. Pretty recent. Something that's fallen out of the kitchen, I think. Just looks like cliffs at the moment.
Oh, a bunch of windows.
Oh, there's a little window here. Yeah. Well, this is just like a proper building now, isn't it? How strange. It's almost like it's sort of emerged out of the rock. Grown out of it. Right.
We are planning to throw the technological kitchen sink at this excavation with the very latest in 3D laser scanners, next generation ground penetrating radar and television microwave links. Consequently, we've got several hundred kilos of very expensive kit to get down there, preferably all in one piece. So rather than risk a fall on the rocks or being cut off at high tide, it's all going to be lowered and raised by zipline. The cave complex consists of 3 known chambers, covering an area of almost 800 square metres. All of the evidence points to them being used as a storage cellar for the castle above. But during the 16th and 17th centuries, the Esher coast was terrorised by gangs of smugglers. Local legend has it that the caves were used as headquarters for the smugglers under the control of the Dukes of Culzean. Legends also tell of secret passages coming down from the castle into the caves. But it's likely that all traces of the passages, if they ever existed, were destroyed during Robert Adams' building works.
So this is really a really substantial structure, isn't it?
It's a proper building, isn't it?
It looks like it. But it's got... It may be the same material as the castle, but it looks like a different... The stones are smaller.
There's more than one story, isn't there? You've got the door there with the modern bars in front of it, and then you've got another window up there, and then right up there's at least 2 windows, and then there's a small hole up there. I can't wait to see.
There's been an iron gate bar in the lower entrance for over 30 years. So apart from the occasional official castle visitor, an unofficial vandal, everything inside should be as the 1960s cavers left it.
Looks dark in the back. Yeah, it does.
Come on in, girls. God, this is vast.
So that door was incredibly low that we just came through. Do you think the ground floor is just filled up with rubble? And that it would have
Yeah, could well be.
somebody should just walked in.
Could well be.
So the rumours are that this was a smuggler's cave then, are they?
The Smuggler's Cave,
Yeah.
and what we've got to find out, what we've got to establish, is do these Smuggler's Caves go up to the castle?
Katie, this is Mark. Katie, this is Mark. Comms check, over.
Hi, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's great. That's coming through loud and clear. Is the GIS tablet there?
Yeah, I've got it in my case.
Oh, great.
One of our first objectives is to work out whether these caves were actually used by the smugglers. And so we want to know if the walls in front of the cave are contemporary with the smugglers. So I'm going to put a trench in the entranceway, and if we can find any small bits of evidence, like glass or pottery, that will tell us the date of the walls, that's going to be great. And the other target that we really need to work on is, can you see these two pillars here on the map?
Yeah, got them.
These are pillars in Chamber B, and we've got to find out whether they're medieval, because they could actually have been built by Robert Adam when he was building the modern castle, but they may be medieval as well.
And that's where there were previous excavations, is that right?
Yeah, there was a trench in there put in the 1960s,
Right.
but they had to stop
Yeah.
because a ginormous spider fell into their trench, and they were too scared to carry on.
Katie, I don't like spiders.
And then what Meg is going to do is some survey work inside the cave, so that she might be able to pick up some internal walls and other features like pits and fireplaces.
Right, what I'm actually going to start with is ground penetrating radar. And we're going to use a high frequency antenna that should see maybe 2 meters down into the bottom of the cave. And of course, when we look up in here, I have to drag my antenna over the surface, and it has to maintain contact with the ground. So you see all this rubble and the boulders. We'll have to move all of this to the side somewhere.
But I think what we have to do before we move the rocks is to make sure that we're not putting the rocks over some archaeologically sensitive area.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if we do a quick scan first of the cave to find if there's any surface archaeology first, and then we'll start moving the boulders.
Sounds good?
This rock here, this is a little big. I don't think we'll have to move this one. I can work around it. But all this other stuff
Around in here, the rubbly, even some of the larger ones and the wood up here. I think it'd be good we could just toss it off to the side.
There's also a log into...
The floor of the cave appears to be covered with small boulders, old driftwood, and the remains of what look like dry stone walls.
That's pretty nice. Yeah, and these rocks do look like they've been just shoved in here purposefully, and it's not rockfall.
You think it's all been infilled there?
I think this is a wall right in front of me, deliberately built to shut off the other side.
I mean, there's actually just pieces of archaeology just lying on the surface, so there's quite a lot of bone. Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, so that's an animal bone. Can you see that, Mark?
Yeah, I got that. What is it, an animal bone? How do you know that?
Well, from its morphological features. I'll tell you exactly which animal it comes from a bit later. But basically, the shape of the joint here is totally different from any sort of human bone, so it's definitely an animal. And I'll have a good look at it and tell you what species it comes from later.
There's lots of bone here.
There's a little bit there. It's probably all bits and pieces of animal.
That?
Right. Okay, folks, right. This is a human vertebra.
A human vertebra?
You're joking.
No, I'm not joking. That is a human thoracic vertebra.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm deadly serious. This was the last thing I was expecting to find in this cave.
What on earth is a human bone doing in this cave?
I don't know. Is there anything else there?
Yeah, just sitting here.
There's more bits of bone. Is that...
Where did you get it from?
I got it from just there. I think at this point I'm going to have to put all this back. We're going to have to call the police because we've got human bone.
This single piece of bone looks like it's going to turn all of our theories upside down. Our smugglers are now looking like murderers. We came to Culzean Castle to look for evidence of smugglers, but we appear to have found evidence of something far more sinister.
Hello? Hello, yeah, is that Maybold Police Station? Hi, yeah, my name is Mark Davis. I'm on an archaeological dig at Culzean Castle. Yeah, no, not the castle itself, but actually down in the cave system. Yeah, well, what it is, we've unearthed some human bones in the cave itself. No, we're absolutely positive because we've got an osteoarchaeologist on the team, yeah.
Yeah, it's in that pit there, isn't it? So basically, we haven't done any digging at all. They were just looking through to that gully there.
These are animal bones here.
Yeah.
And this is the human vertebra.
You know, it's obviously not a body. It's not in situ. It's sort of mixed up with animal bones.
Anything, yes.
The local police got here pretty quickly, and it was just as well that it was low tide. The delivery team got them in safe and sound. But at the moment, they worried that the bones could be part of a murder, and this is a scene of crime. Hopefully, Alice will put them straight.
You know, as I said to you, I've done quite a lot of work on forensic sites as well, and I'm convinced of its antiquity. So,
are you likely to find anything else?
We're going to. I mean, the plan would be to excavate this area here just to see what is going on with that collection of bone.
As I said earlier on, our CID are aware, right? We have to do that, that's procedures.
Yes, that's absolutely fine, yeah.
We've been told to preserve the integrity of the so-called crime scene. So, while we wait for the CID to arrive, Meg and Katie take the opportunity to explore and survey another chamber. Almost 50 metres in from the outer fortifications, the entrance is through a partially blocked stone doorway. We need to find out if the natural rock of the chamber has been enhanced or modified by man. The easy way, given the pitch darkness, is to use lasers.
We're actually using a laser scanner. It's a laser beam, and what we're doing is measuring the cave in 3D. If we come over to the computer, we can look at the screen. Okay, so what you can see are actual data points, because I've zoomed way into the data since we're collecting at a resolution of about 0.5 centimeter. And you can see each individual point. Now these are going to show us distance.
So all these points are the points going to
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you zoom out?
I will show you.
Whoa.
Right. And we can rotate our image and see the cave and where we are within it.
So even as we speak, you can actually fly around the cave
Yeah,
already.
that's what I'm doing. So if we want to look from the perspective where we're standing, I can rotate this around, and we are standing right here, looking back at the far wall.
Okay.
You can see their little black spots, but that's where we have shadows, right? So that's why we have to have about 30 setups in the cave, because if you have a rock sticking up, we scan the front of the rock and its dimensions, but we don't actually see the back of the rock or what's behind it because it casts a shadow.
The CIRAC survey clearly shows that this chamber has only been enhanced by the addition of a stone doorway. So what could it have been used for? A dungeon? A wine cellar? Maybe even a strong room? Unfortunately, there appears to have been a recent roof collapse covering the floor with boulders and over a metre of mud. We've not the time or resources to shift several hundred tons of spoil. 3D laser scanning can also be used on a much larger scale, providing a view of Culzean accurate to within a few millimetres. That's impossible to achieve by normal film or television means. Inside the pillar chamber, official Culzean archaeologist Derek Alexander gave me a guided tour of the fortifications.
What struck me was how thick the walls were.
Yeah, I mean, the walls at the front of the caves here are really well built, and we think they belong probably to the 16th century by the type of construction, the shape of the windows, all that sort of thing. But yeah.
The other thing I found quite curious was these pillars. It's just a jumbled up mixture of different rocks which appear to have been just grabbed from the beach.
I think you're right there. I mean, you can see that it really is roughly built, and there are in fact one or two dress stones that have been reused in here, probably from the original works. And we think that these are a later build, probably to do with Robert Adam at the time he built the castle above in 1777, the big house.
Yeah.
And because he built this lovely big house, and he then suddenly realised, wait a minute, it's on top of these caves. What I don't want is my fantastic masterpiece to disappear into the middle of these caves. So he built, we think, these pillars to hold up the roof in some shape or form, although how good a job they're doing is debatable. What would be good to do would be to excavate a trench at the base of one of these, and maybe get some dating evidence from underneath to look at the foundations of them, see what they're built on, see if there's any dating evidence underneath.
Just seen fresher bones in that.
Yes, so right.
The local CID have arrived and have examined our site. They're pretty much convinced of the antiquity of the human bones.
I've also got a photographer coming.
Right, okay. And we'll obviously be taking photographs as we excavate anyway, so.
Detective Sergeant Farrell has his own theory as to how the bones may have got into the cave.
It's a local legend in this part of Ayrshire. Several hundred years ago, there was a family lived here near the village of Ballantrae, which is some miles south of here. And their claim to fame is that they waylaid passers-by, and were in fact a family of cannibals, and the leader of the family was called Sonny Bean.
So was there actually evidence for that? Or was it just a rumour?
Yes, the best of my recollection, they were actually caught by the then militia and were executed. I believe it was the early 1600s.
Well, it'd be quite interesting to take this bone out. What I'll do is take it out to the cave, clean it up. We'll have a look at it under the microscope and see if we can see any evidence of cut marks, which might show us that there was butchery or cannibalism going on, possibly. And then, when I've done that, I'll hand it over to you, because you've got to take it back to headquarters, haven't you?
Yeah, we'll have to carry out our own examination.
OK.
OK.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So instead of our smuggling story, we appear to have a possible historical murder mystery on our hands. But by finding the bones, we've lost the best part of a whole day's excavation. We've brought in more light to the cave, and it's now clear that the vertebrae were lying in a small pit, a shallow grave, or the remains of the 1960s cavers' excavation. Alice's first task is to carefully retrieve any more bone fragments that may be lying on the surface. 5 or 6 immediately become apparent. Bean is sieving the muddy soil from around the pit, looking for more fragments.
Yep.
I've done that bit of sieving.
Great.
Quite difficult because the mud's all wet.
Yeah.
But I did find what I think look like bone.
Now that bone is part of the pubis of the immature pelvis, so it's the hip bone.
Okay.
And this is definitely an immature one, and that was a bit I found earlier. And if we're lucky, the two of those should actually fit together. So something like that.
Yeah.
That's where the sort of the midline would be, and your two pubic bones meet in the midline. There's a pubic symphysis.
So roughly how big would the animal have been?
This is a human.
Human?
Yeah.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that. Right.
So this is an infant. That's fantastic. And there's actually an infant vertebra as well. So we've got at least 2 individuals.
Make sure you weigh back.
We've now collected evidence from at least 2 individuals, 1 adult and 1 child. As our appointed licensee for the Home Office, Alice is required by law to prepare a detailed osteological report for the police. But first, she has to get back to base camp and find her toothbrush.
Right, Alice, tell me about the human bones, most exciting find of the day, from my point of view.
Well, I'm amazed that we had human bones. It's absolutely stunning. This is the first one we found, and this is a human thoracic vertebra, so it's part of your spine.
Is there any foul play going on there?
Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it would have been quite intriguing, wouldn't it? Yeah. There's no evidence of cut marks or anything like that, and to disarticulate a vertebra from a fully fleshed body, you'd expect there to be cut marks, maybe taking the ribs off, things like this. And certainly there'd probably be cut marks through where the joints are, where you're trying to separate the vertebrae.
Okay, well, can we have a look at the wee one over there, the child one?
Yeah. So you can see it's a sort of similar shape, and you can see there's got these little sticky actrons as processes just there. Probably if we can pop this underneath the microscope, we can have a better look at those. We're interested in that bit there.
Why has the baby got those little features and not the adult?
Because they start off as cartilage models, which most of the bones in your body do, and then you get bones sort of growing within the cartilage and replacing it. And with the vertebrae, you get that happening in 3 different main places, in the body itself, and in either side of the neural arch, which goes around the spinal cord at the back. And then the neural arch joins onto the body, but while it's joining, there'll be a sort of little join line, so that's exactly what we're looking at. So we can see that. Can you see that really nicely there?
Clearly.
Yeah. What we're seeing there is a gap that would have been infilled by cartilage. But the cartilage has obviously disappeared.
What sort of age
the
is the translation made?
It is during infancy, so it's probably about 4 or 5, but don't quote me on that. So.
Right, OK. Can we determine anything about the age of these things?
It certainly looks archaeological to me, in that obviously it's just the bone that's left there, so it's probably been in the ground for quite a long time.
Can we do carbon-14?
We can do carbon-14, so that would be what I would like to do post-X, is send it off to a carbon-14 dating lab.
7 pieces of disarticulated vertebra and pelvis from at least 2 individuals. But because they were found on the surface, they've not given us any archaeological clues as to how they got here. We're obviously going to have to dig much deeper. We came to caves beneath Culzean Castle to look for evidence of 18th century smugglers. But before any trenches could be dug, the team found human bones lying on the muddy surface of the cave floor.
This is a human vertebra.
The police were called and were satisfied that they were archaeological, not criminal. The discovery of the human bones has turned our plans and excavation schedule upside down. Because we urgently need to find out how the bones got into the cave, we've abandoned our plan to excavate in the doorway. We concentrate in our efforts in the main chamber, where back in the 60s, a group of cavers dug some amateur and apparently random trenches.
What we know is that in the 60s, some local cavers dug a few holes around these caves, and they found a culvert down.
What's a culvert?
It's like a drain. It's basically a drain that they think is running down through here. So it'd be really good to expose their trench and that culvert, because we still don't know about any features, any internal features within this cave at all. So if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Sure, if you mark up the trench for me, and then I'll shift some of the blocks.
Okay, but try not to get distracted by the geology. We're looking at the archaeology.
Right, okay.
The cavers apparently found the drainage culvert about here. We found the human bones 10 metres away, towards the back of the chamber. As Katie starts work digging in the bone trench, I've been given the job of clearing the spoil from the cavers' culvert. With all of the loose rocks and rubbish removed, it's clear that the cavers were right. This is a drainage culvert, constructed of massive slabs of rock.
Top of the flagstone, you're looking at 62 centimetres.
A square-section stone-lined tube, designed to carry water away. And it looks like it's heading off up the cave towards the bone trench, where Katie and Alice are still finding fragments.
Yeah, let's look at that. No, that's not a human one.
Looks too wide, doesn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm not brilliant on phalanges. I'll take it up top and have a proper look at it and decide, but it's definitely not human.
Only a few centimetres below the cave floor, there appears to be a stone surface, with a tantalising void between the slabs. This must be the continuation of our culvert. Because the bones were found in the mud above, we have to look to the rock itself to perhaps give us dating evidence.
This is the culvert down to my culvert.
Yeah, it looks like the drain is running all the way from the back of the cave down to the front entrance there.
Okay.
And it's probably draining water.
Well, the first thing that strikes me is we're in a basalt cave.
Right.
And this is sandstone.
Right.
So this has come from somewhere else. And I guess from your point of view, you want to know whether this has been laid down at the same time that they built the castle. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, there's a quick and easy way of doing that. The castle itself is built out of sandstone that has a high calcareous content. That's why it's all pitted and looks as if it's weathered away. So if we drop some acid onto this rock, and if it
You're not going
fizzes...
to dissolve away my archaeology.
I'm afraid so, I'm afraid so. But if I drop some acid onto this rock and it dissolves away, that is indicative of high calcareous content.
Hydrochloric acid on calcareous sandstone does this. But on our sandstone block, no reaction.
Absolutely nothing at all. Nothing at all. So that tells me that these rocks have come from a different locality to the rocks that's up in the castle.
Right.
Completely different.
And are probably from a different age, then?
Well, not from a different age geologically, but from archaeological point of view, yes, a different age.
Even though we've got two sections of culvert in our trenches, we can't assume that they join together in a straight line. We also need to understand if the massive underground structure is sitting on or cutting into an ancient floor surface. Ground-penetrating radar may provide the answer.
Perfect. Looks good.
Despite the excitement of the bone finds, we've not forgotten about the strange jerry-built pillars in Chamber 2, where local archaeologist Derek Alexander is digging a trench to try and find any dating evidence that will tell us when the pillars were built. Those 1960s cavers dug in here too. This is where they found most of the broken glass bottles and piles of bones, which were removed and subsequently lost. This is also the place the cavers encountered the ginormous spider. Self-confessed arachnophobe Alice decides to investigate.
He's running away.
Ever so carefully.
Oh, I'm sorry about this spider. Right, we're going to take you up top, have a quick look at you.
Not exactly ginormous, but big enough. Meta minardi, the common cave spider.
It's just what I'm looking for. But we're hoping that you're going to tell us what they are.
So, Derek, where's this coming from? Just we're digging there?
Yeah, it's all come from the backfill of the 1960s excavation trench.
Right,
So it's all mixed.
Do you think there's some kind of midden there then?
Yeah, I think it is, because there's shell and things behind me here and bits of broken pottery and things as well.
Right. So we'll take these back up top, clean them up, and have a look and see if we can sort of tell what the species are and whether they're sort of typical species you'd expect to find.
We'll be able to tell whether any of it's been butchered and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we should be able to look for cut marks on them where the tendons are attached to the bones and things like that, and we can check just to make sure the cut marks are. That'd be good.
The evidence of large amounts of butchered animal bones, especially sheep, seal and pig, points to people living and cooking in the cave. This is consistent with the smuggler's hideaway theory, but doesn't explain why we've got human bones. It looks like we may have to take the story of Sawney Bean more seriously. With all of our attention focused on the archaeology, I've not had much time to look at the natural formations inside the cave.
Yeah. This is an intriguing cave. It's what we call a fault-bounded cave. And that's because it's got great big fractures running down the side of it. And it's a bit like pulling up a deck of cards. When you bring up a deck of cards, some of them drop out from below. That's what's happened to the roof of this cave. And, well, there you go. There's a classic example. Look at that. Straight off the roof of the cave, just collapsed down on itself. Yeah, and that's a bit worrying because this stuff here, I think, appears, yeah, it looks more recent, and that could be hiding some important archaeological information.
The back of the cave is completely blocked with a steep slope of spoil and huge boulders. This 60-degree mud slope rising up to the ceiling could be relatively recent, the result of a roof collapse and water seepage from above. Before we investigate or excavate, I need to look at Meg's survey of the main chamber. The radar scan shows the position and alignment of the culvert quite clearly, but there's no sign of a buried floor surface. This either means the floor is deeper than 2 meters, or that the floor was made of compacted mud and invisible to radar.
Jimmy, have you loaded in the GIS?
Yeah, well, we've got most of the information in there now. We started off with the OS information, so we've just got the basic map. So let's turn on the buildings.
This enables us to view the caves from a variety of angles and with a variety of data. These red horizontal lines are contours, measuring depth or altitude. By manipulating the image so we can see underneath the caves and castle, we can easily see how the caves undercut the building above. The contour lines show that the sloping back wall of the main chamber has 2 high points, which look like they're only a few meters beneath the castle foundations. Could this be evidence that the caves and castle were once connected by secret passages? It's almost 20 meters up the mud slope to the roof of the chamber.
Right, Meg, I brought you to the top of the caving system. I've just looked at the Cyrax information with the GIS, and the cave system comes up underneath the castle. And one thing I want us to try and establish is that there is no hidden passages. Apparently, with mythology, they used to come up inside the cave. Now, you're going to love this. Can you run the GPR on the back walls of the cave?
On these back walls?
On these, please,
This very nice slope. Well, sure, we can run the radar anywhere.
OK, so if you could do it on this back wall and the other 2 chambers, and then we can eradicate that.
Whenever you are ready, go ahead.
Ready. What's that? Cable.
In order to get any worthwhile results from the survey, the high-frequency scanner has to be kept in contact with the slope's surface. Not easy when the mud wall is almost vertical in places. This is obviously going to take some time.
Okay, come on back up.
Back at the front of the cave, I've got stuck into the culvert.
Hey, Katie, I think there's a whole load of bones. If you go in there, it's about a foot on the right-hand side, and there's a load of spiders' eggs on the left, so keep your head towards the right.
Oh.
looks like one of those vertebrates that we had yesterday. It looks like the same kind of shape, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it where I found it, and then I think Alice should come and have a look.
All right, we'll come out. Alice!
'Cause we need to make sure it's not a whole skeleton.
Come over here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just down to the right then.
Just up about 2 feet.
I think one of them might... It just looks like one of them looks really similar to the one that we found yesterday. Can you see anything down there?
Yeah, there's... Oh, right, yeah. Oh, this one here.
That's it.
Yeah, it's another human vertebra.
Can you bring it closer?
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah.
But there's loads of other bones there. Can you see if they're human as well? Because we really need to establish whether we're looking at a whole skeleton now.
There's all bits and pieces. There's another bit of vertebra there. I'm not sure if that's human. Another bit there. I mean, it certainly doesn't look as though there's an articulated skeleton here.
Right.
That's a snail shell.
This is really important now. We've got to establish whether these human bones are earlier than this culvert or not.
Well, my gut feeling is that when I was excavating it, I was going into underneath the wall, the lining of the culvert itself.
So it is looking earlier.
It
but
looks earlier,
those
yeah.
bones up there, they were actually above the culvert. This is what is really strange.
We've now got evidence of human remains from 2 parts of the same chamber. One from above the culvert, and the other from deep inside. With no obvious signs of pathology, it's not apparent how they died. We found no associated archaeology, so we don't know when they died. We don't even know how they got in here.
Oh, it's a bit unstable, this.
It's our last day in the Culzean Caves, and we still finding human bones inside the culvert.
You right there?
It's time to start retrieving them.
I think this is probably the most uncomfortable position I've ever been in.
Well, all the digging that you've done, that's the worst.
I think all these finds are coming out actually inside the culvert.
Inside it, so they've been washed down from the top.
Yeah, so that skeleton bone,
Yeah.
that human bone has actually come inside the culvert.
Yeah.
It's been washed down from somewhere.
Yeah.
So do you think it would be associated with the trench up further from this?
Can't possibly say. All we can do is look at the age of that individual and the age of the person that was up above.
Yeah.
In the other trench, and then if they're roughly the same age, then there's a possibility they're the same person. There's a really high concentration of bones in here.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a quick look, Meg?
Yeah, sure, it'd be great.
Come on, let's get you out there, because we got to get cracking.
Yeah.
Katie, do you need to do anything else in there documenting?
I've just got to finish doing my planning and then we can go.
Okay.
Got your spoon back.
Twist your body, that's it. Oh my god! Do you see all the bone?
Oh, wow, yeah. Oh my gosh, it's packed in there.
Yeah.
It looks...
Can you see if you can do a bit of troweling around there? Because I can't...
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't carry
wow,
on.
that is so cool.
But what we haven't established yet is where on earth have those human bones come from? I mean, some of them are inside the culvert and some of them have been outside.
I mean, I can understand the stuff inside the culvert. That's been washed down from up there, but...
From somewhere else.
Yeah, the mystery to me is how the vertebrae got onto the surface at the top.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the only
is...
thing that I can think of is that during the construction of the culvert or the construction of some other wall or pit or something, somebody has churned up the human
Yeah,
bones.
but I mean, about what age are we looking at? Predating the culvert construction?
Well, yeah, if you think about it, all the layers below this culvert are earlier than the culvert.
So what are we looking at?
Well,
Bronze
it could be
Age
Bronze
or...
Age, Neolithic, we really don't know. I mean, if you think about it, this cave is the perfect location for prehistoric people to be living in. I think the only thing that we can do is get these carbon-14 dated and get a real definite date.
Meg, I think it's time to swap over. You got a tooth?
Yeah.
OK, pass it out then, girl.
I don't know whose it is.
Here you go. Let's have a look.
It's a long tooth.
I think that's a human tooth.
With all of the archaeology removed from the bottom culvert trench, we need to turn our attention to the upper trench, where nothing, apart from the initial surface bones, have been found. Even with the capstones removed, the drain is devoid of finds. But the massive structure of the culvert is becoming apparent, This is a serious piece of engineering.
It's quite a substantial culvert, isn't it?
Yeah, look at the size of the stones they've used to construct this. Absolutely massive.
Do you think it's anything to do with the fortification?
It's really difficult to tell at the moment. They are very well constructed, as are the fortification walls there. But look how much higher we are from the entranceway there. I mean, it's probably about 3 metres higher. Although you might expect that with the culvert, that it's constructed high up and then runs down to the flow of the water.
It comes as no surprise because, you know, you're right on a great big fault line here, and this calcium accretion that's on the fault plane itself, you know, that's indicative of quite a lot of water flowing down through it. So would that be to do with the current castle or the earlier?
It's so difficult to tell at the moment. We still haven't really got any dating evidence. We've got a little bit of animal bone has turned up above it, and the human bone. But what we really need to do is actually lift the stones, go inside the culvert and hopefully find some dating evidence there. Okay. And then if the worst comes to the worst, we can actually take out some of these boulders and go underneath it as well and try and find some more dating evidence.
We've almost run out of excavation time, and we've still got a lot of loose ends to tie up. As all of our heavy equipment makes its long journey back up top, Meg needs to finish off her survey of the caves. In the top trench, Alice has finally worked out an archaeological sequence for the culvert.
I'm quite pleased because this enormous stone here suggests to me that we're not just looking at the side of the culvert, we're actually looking at something which might continue on. I think that it's actually a nice big flat stone that's part of a floor surface which is carrying on
under the section.
Under the section,
right.
yeah. I think that this stone here is part of the series that are actually the capstones for the top of the culvert, and what we're seeing here is just the edge of the floor surface.
Oh, right, okay.
And then the culvert just forms a ditch at the side of it.
And what else have we got in this trench then?
Yeah, well, what we've got here is basically the wall carrying on down quite deep. We've dug down fairly deep, and you can see these big blocks, and that one there is the base of it, because that's just lying on clay at the bottom. And I haven't been able to find a cut for it, and my feeling is that there wasn't a cut for it and that the wall hasn't been sunk into the floor. What's actually happened is that the wall was constructed, and then all of this floor, which is built up here, has literally built up against the wall.
Against the wall.
Yeah. The other thing I think is that some of the wall has fallen down, and we've got some rubble down here, and then the culvert stones seem to be lying on top of that.
Right, so the sequence is wall partly collapses, then to build the culvert, cover it, and then possibly with the floor heading off across the quay.
I think so, yeah.
Fantastic.
I think that's what's going on.
What we haven't been able to find out is where the culvert starts. We know it's heading to the back of the cave under the mud slope, where Meg carried out her radar scan. But the results are disappointing. Instead of any voids that may once have been secret passages to the castle above, all we can see is a jumble of rocks and mud, consistent with a quite recent roof collapse. This collapse could have been as recent as the 18th century, from the time when Robert Adam was building the modern castle. We know from documentary sources that he used dynamite to level the site in the previous castle. Could the explosions above have dislodged the roof of the caves below? I've worked out that the mud slope consists of over 700 tons of spoil, more than enough to completely bury nearly 200 square metres of the cave. This explosive theory could explain why Chamber 3 is almost full of spoil. It also goes a long way to explain why the pillars in Chamber 2 were constructed, to prevent any further collapse.
In terms of this structure then, Derek, what have we got?
Well, you can see quite clearly that the column here is coming down and it's actually just sitting on a hard surface. There's no real solid foundation to this at all, so it's not a very well built structure. We thought that from its construction anyway.
Yeah.
But you can see it's sitting on this layer which actually continues all the way across. It's all this yellow, sort of burnt red colour as well. So it's actually been fired. This has been a fire here. We did get a layer of charcoal on the top of this. So it's we think it's either the base of some sort of structure, like an oven or something, or it's something wider, like a floor surface. So there's been quite a substantial floor surface in the cavern at one point. But what's quite interesting as well is we've got this, having got this surface, what's below it. We have all these mixed deposits of rubble and stone. In fact, you can see, big bits of animal bones sticking out through here.
Yeah.
It's all mixed. There's a lot of shell and things in there as well. What date that is, we don't know. But we think this, 18th century pillar could be medieval surface. Maybe goes with the walls on the outside. Underneath that, what we're looking at, Dark Age, maybe.
Really?
Maybe back to prehistory. So we really need to have a look and get some decent artefacts out of this.
We got to get it. Well, we run out of time, so I'll just leave you get on with it.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
These burnt areas are always really, really useful for archaeologists because they contain all sorts of things like little bits of bone, little fragments of burnt seeds, which gives us an insight into what these people were eating as well.
Katie's opened a small trench on the other side of the pillar to find one piece of definitive dating evidence.
Right on the surface here, in this spot, we've been finding bits of green glazed pottery, which is dated to the medieval period. And this is exactly the kind of evidence that we're looking for occupation during the time of smuggling.
Late medieval cooking and storage pots, which takes our story full circle, back to the smugglers. So does this mean that the human bones are the remains of dead smugglers, or their victims? There's one last surprise in the pillar trench.
Well, there's a lot of animal bone coming out, domestic animals, so it's what we'd expect. But then there's also this as well.
Which is a...
Human bone.
Really?
That is actually a human vertebra. The other thing about it, which is quite interesting, is that it is actually a juvenile. You can see the creases where the arch at the back is just fusing with the body, or it's almost fused, and the tips also are not fully formed yet. Now, this means it's juvenile. It's not as young as the child vertebra that I found, so we're now looking at least three individuals. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But when we had the bones radiocarbon dated, they turned out to be much earlier than anyone expected. 855 AD, almost 600 years earlier than the smugglers. This proves something we had already suspected, that the bones were buried here in antiquity. Now, we can finally piece together the human story of the caves. 1,200 years ago, they were open rock shelters large enough to be the likely home of a small community. We found evidence of at least 3 individuals, 2 of whom were buried in the floor of the main chamber. The identity of these cave dwellers is lost to history. We've now no way of knowing why or when they left the caves. In the 15th century, when the first recorded castle was built, the cave entrances were fortified. Internal walls were constructed, along with a culvert to drain away the water and waste. The digging of the culvert accidentally disinterred the 9th century cave burials, the bones being mixed up with the stone and the spoil. So who knows what mysteries are still buried beneath the castle caves? And what of Sawney Bean, our chief suspect? It turns out he's just a figment of an early historian's overactive imagination. All over Britain, there are archaeological sites that are too dangerous to access or excavate. They could contain unique and valuable evidence of our past, which, if not investigated, will be lost forever. EXA is a team of highly skilled archaeologists. Katie Hurst, in charge of excavation. Alice Roberts, doctor and expert in human bones. Meg Waters, geophysicist and digital imaging specialist. All experts in their chosen fields who are determined to get into these inhospitable places to forensically assess, survey and extract the evidence. The expedition leader will be me, Mark Davis, volcanologist, climber caver and diver. This is archaeology on the very edge. This week we are all hanging around in Pembrokeshire trying to excavate 3 ancient burials before they fall out of the cliff and are lost forever.
This is the beautiful Pembrokeshire coastal path that stretches for 200 miles around southwest Wales. But parts of the pathway are in imminent danger of being destroyed due to coastal erosion and subsequent landslides. Take this section. Over the last few years alone, it's lost several metres to the advancing sea. But in the process of falling away, 3 small stone-lined coffins have emerged from the cliff face. So EXA has been called in to rescue the archaeology and investigate this site before it's lost to us all forever.
This site was discovered by a Pembrokeshire National Park ranger who was monitoring the coastal erosion through binoculars when he spotted the stone coffins. Because the coastal path is walked by thousands every year, it's hugely important to maintain and preserve this fragile natural resource. To that end, the seaward edge of the path has been designated an Area of Special Scientific Interest, a SSSI. We've come here at the beginning of winter to minimise our impact on the environment, working in close collaboration with the park rangers.
Do we know anything at all about this site?
Well, the only things we really are sure about are that there's 2 Iron Age hill forts on either side of us, one over there and one over there. So what we might be looking at is an Iron Age cemetery, but it just seems a bit odd that there are all these stones sticking out of the cliff face as well, because they didn't tend to bury their dead in stone-lined coffins.
So who used to bury the dead in stone-lined coffins? I guess that's the first question.
Well, they used to do it in the Bronze Age. Romans did it as well.
But
later
also the
medieval.
6th century as well around here.
We've got just 3 coffins there, Meg. Have you thought about the geophysics?
Absolutely. I think I'm going to use radar first, and I'm going to drag it right along the top of this cliff edge here, right over what we think are the targets, so that I can see, 1, if radar is going to work, and 2, get a good depth estimate what it's going to look like, or what they should look like. And then I'm going to continue surveying back from the cliff edge to try to see if we have other features that look the same that we can maybe target later.
I'll give us an idea of whether it's a cemetery or not as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to clean up this whole section along here and actually assess how many graves there are, where they are, and what they're looking like as well.
I'm really excited about this because I don't think we're going to get an awful lot of evidence sort of looking at the cliff here, because we can't sort of excavate into it, because this is a SSSI, so we can't undercut this edge.
That's right.
But if Meg finds some more burials further back, then there's a possibility of excavating a whole burial, and that's where we'll get some really good information.
The fragments of stone eroding out of the cliff face are the remnants of stone-lined coffins. Constructed of sandstone slabs, they were assembled to form a lidded coffin, a stone box with no bottom. Before we can examine the cliff face, Meg is going to conduct a geophysical survey on the path itself, directly above the eroding coffins.
I'm going to start with ground-penetrating radar because I've had really good success in the past finding graves and burials with radar. I'm really excited because I'm going to do time slicing. I put it in a cube of data and then start slicing down, because what we'll be able to see is if there are more than just a few burials, we'll see the distribution across the area. We'll be able to come out and literally peg it out on the ground where these burials are. And I can also see depth-wise where they are, so we can actually, in the cube, have a 3-dimensional image of where the features are and then go investigate them. So, yeah, it's going to be good. Very excited.
3 coffins eroding out of the cliff face doesn't necessarily mean we've got a cemetery. They could be an isolated single-family plot. Part of Meg's task is to find evidence of more burials, but first she's got to find out what these stone-lined boxes look like on her radar. The radar signature is essential to identify key features of the site. The position of our burials in this tiny bay, flanked by 2 as yet unexcavated Iron Age forts, is an archaeologist's blank canvas as far as dates are concerned. We can eliminate most of prehistory from our inquiries. In Bronze Age Wales, they tended to bury their dead in barrows. In the Iron Age, they were cremated. The Romans didn't even get to within 30 miles of here, so that ruled them out. And by the medieval period, the dead were buried in the parish churchyard of St Ishmael's, 2 miles inland. So that leaves what we used to call the Dark Ages, or now, more properly, the early medieval period.
That's a good... How's it looking? Yeah, I think we have a target that's just underneath the beginning corner of our grid.
So you think it might be a stone?
Yeah, I do, because it's very flat and it's a very strong reflector. Flat meaning it's just very straight in the data. It doesn't have any dipping angles or anything.
Right.
So.
Only accessible at low tide. The beach below our site is where I caught up with the very Reverend Wyn Evans, Dean of St David's Cathedral and archaeologist, who is convinced that what we've got here is indeed a cemetery, the last resting place of a group of early Christians.
It'll be fascinating to see who was buried in this cemetery. If they're all males, fairly young, and perhaps with a rather skimpy diet, you might think that they were ascetic monks. Or on the other hand, of course, it might be the cemetery of a community. And that in itself is fascinating, because these people may have been Christians, they may have not. They may have been a church of sorts attached to that particular cemetery, or they may not. Because in the beginning, what you get appear to be open cemeteries based on family groups, which either attract a chapel to them, or in about the 8th or the 9th century, or slightly later, they're abandoned and people start burying in churches.
If Wyn is correct, this could date the burials to as early as the 6th century, the so-called Age of Saints, when most of the population was being converted to Christianity. It's time for Alice and Katie to have a closer look at the eroding burials. The initial assessment is crucial. Firstly, to see exactly what state the archaeology is in, and secondly, to work out an excavation strategy.
Can you see anything with all the bits flying around, Alice?
I've got this big slab here, sticking out. I can't see anything that looks like any bone though sticking out. Hang on a minute. I think I've got a bit of bone here. Yeah, that is definitely bone. Looks like skull.
It's incredible here at the moment. The whole of the cliff is all sandstone. So what's happening is the sand is just blasting us up, and we can't even look over the edge, so conditions working there are pretty impossible at the moment.
With the team being sandblasted and buffeted against the cliff face, it's clear that we're going to have to think of another way of doing this. It's easy to see how the archaeology is being so quickly destroyed, but it's not all bad news.
But it's looking really promising. You actually see voids underneath the
Actually
stone
within
slabs.
the coffins?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
And bone as well.
So there are bones there?
Yeah, definitely.
Safely extracting the bones is going to be critical if we're going to find out who was buried here. After a day of being buffeted and sandblasted, the delivery team has come up with a new plan to get us to work on the cliff face. A platform is to be suspended over the edge, big enough for Katie and Alice to work on, and stable enough not to be blown about in the gales. But Alice is concerned that when it's lowered, it will crash into the archaeology.
Bean, you know where the stones are, don't you? You really try not to knock them as you lower the thing, as you lower the platform.
The other option is to have someone on the beach with a rope tied onto it, holding onto it.
What's going to happen is that Trev's going to tie a rope to the platform. He's going to go down on the beach and he's going to pull it so the platform will be away from the cliff, and then let to rest against the cliff when it's gone down low enough.
With the platform safely secured, Katie and Alice, this time wearing safety goggles, begin the dusty process of clearing the cliff face of loose vegetation. There could be more stone coffins hiding in the undergrowth. Back up top, Meg's extended her survey area 10 metres inland, on the edge of a conifer plantation, and there appears to be archaeology everywhere.
This looks really nice.
That is fantastic. Jim, something really good right there. Really good. Can you pull a little bit more? See, that's exactly what we're looking for. Perfect. Really nice. Okay, good. Thanks, Jim. So what radar actually picks up is the contrast between dielectric properties. So if you've got something, say, stone, a certain property, and soil around it. Now there's going to be more air mixed in with the soil, but what we're going to get is that interface between the soil and the stone, and then that's what we actually get this response from, is part of the radar wave as it goes in the ground, part of it reflects off of that surface and comes back up, and part of it continues down into the ground. That's why we can go vertically. What is a big challenge here is all these trees that are planted.
Oh, yes.
Right? So they've been digging holes.
Yes.
And putting trees in, and what we see now are there are a bunch of little baby trees, but if other trees have been planted and dug up and taken out and trees put back in, and so if we have all these holes being excavated, it's not easy to detect the difference between a tree hole and, say, a burial.
Yeah. It's finally time for me to get up close and personal with the archaeology. That's assuming the platform can take my weight.
I'm doing all right. So what we got then? Tell me what we got.
That's looking really good. Start
Right.
with your furthest one away. You see that one right in front of you?
This one here?
Yeah, that's looking good.
What's that?
That's a bit of bone.
That is a bit of bone.
Yes. So there's a bit down there and there's a bit across there.
Really? Do you know, I would never in a million years would I see that as being bone. It looks like a fleck of some sort of flint or whatever, isn't it? I mean, that's incredible. So what about this? That's a fantastic one.
Great, isn't it?
That is brilliant.
This one, you can see you've got another vertical stone here.
Yeah.
You've got horizontal slabs going across and then another vertical.
Yeah.
So it's beginning to look like all these coffins are going off in that kind of direction.
Yeah.
Not straight on, but just slightly sloping off in
but
that direction.
that kind of says no, it does. It says east-west, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of right, isn't it?
Yeah.
The east-west alignments of the burials is further evidence that this is a Christian site, a relic of earlier pagan times, when burials were aligned to the rising and setting sun.
Through the dust on my goggles.
Early Christians were buried east-west to be ready for Judgment Day and the resurrection.
Okay, Katie, I've photographed that fragment now, which it looks like it's going to fall off, so I'm going to take it off and stick it in a bag. I think the other bit I'll leave there because that's fairly embedded.
It's time to get the fragment back to the dome for analysis.
Alice, have you found out what those fragments of bone are yet?
Yes, it's definitely a skull and it's definitely human, which is obviously what we're interested in.
Yeah.
The texture of it really sort of gives it away. Can you see that it's got a sort of honeycomb middle to it?
Yeah.
Which is called the diploe, and that's where the marrow is inside the skull.
Yeah.
And then there's a slightly sort of thicker table of bone on either side of that, and that's the classic construction of the vault bones of the skull.
Okay.
So it's not just a skull bone. It's actually, we can say quite specifically where in the skull it's from. It's part of this area.
Yeah.
And what's really nice actually is that on this piece here, we've actually got some of the grooves. You can see it here. I've got it underneath the microscope. Can you see these grooves
I can see a
running along?
groove. Yeah.
And they sort of branch
Yeah.
out. It's actually little arteries.
Arteries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they actually make grooves where they lie up against the bone, and that is a meningeal artery groove on the inside of the skull.
I mean, I'm absolutely amazed that you're able to tell from that all that information. It's fantastic.
Having said that,
Right.
that's information which is general. Do you know what I mean? That's any human skull. We still don't have any idea of how old this person is, what sex they were, all of this sort of thing. So, there's a lot you can say from these tiny little pieces, but you can't really tell much about the person.
So for you, we need to find a complete burial. That's what you would like.
Well, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Back on site, there are fragments of bone eroding out everywhere. They all need to be recorded, then removed, or they'd be lost forever.
Alice, is this part of the skull that you found yesterday?
Yes, it is. This is part of the side of a skull. I showed you those smaller fragments yesterday, and this is a much bigger fragment. And this is the inside again with those channels for the blood vessels.
Right.
So
you
it's
can
part
see
of
it
the
quite
side of the
clear.
skull. Yeah, you can see the curve of it as well, can't you?
It's incredibly fragile, isn't it? Really wafer thin
It
almost.
is, yeah. It's very crumbly, so we're going to have to get that out very carefully.
Yeah.
It looks as though most of the rest of the skull has already been lost to erosion.
Yeah. Have you found anything else in the other? Because this is
Yeah.
clearly one grave here, and that's quite a big one there. Have you found anything else there?
And this one over here, yeah, there's a bit of skull here, a curve that you can just see in cross section.
Yeah.
Can you see that there?
Yeah.
Just slice through it.
Oh yeah.
And then that's a vertebra. This is really nice though, because this gives us a definite orientation on the graves.
Yeah.
It shows us that the head is up at this end, and if that's a vertebra, then the spine's obviously heading down that way. So we are getting this sort of orientation.
East-west orientation.
Yeah, to the cliff face.
yeah.
In the dome, Meg's processed all her radar survey from yesterday. But has it given us any new excavation targets?
So what I see here is in this cube, if I turn it so it actually looks like a plan view, it's easier to see things.
See that great.
You can absolutely see straight lines and corners.
Yeah.
And it's this feature right here.
Do you think that that's possibly a coffin? That's quite wide, isn't it?
I don't know if it's a coffin or if it's a stone perimeter.
Yeah.
You know, edges of something. It doesn't appear to be, to me, like a slab covering something. Because I would expect that to be just a complete bright reflector at this level.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure. I would excavate right there, though.
Okay, so that's the target.
That's target
you
number
want
one.
target number one.
Meg's feature on the radar survey is 4 metres by 2. Too big to be one burial, and too big for one trench. It's positioned right in the middle of the coastal path. We don't want to destabilise the cliff edge more than necessary, so we're opening a 1 by 2 to try and prove that Meg's radar signatures are indeed burials. I've been enlisted to help out topside, though I suspect more for my brawn than my brain.
How have you got on?
Well, I've cleared that whole sort of area that we're looking at with all the undergrowth. There's nothing there.
No more coffins?
No,
more
there's a
stones?
side to the coffin that you found yesterday with the skull section in it. But apart from that, no.
What's that looking like inside it? Is it just the skull, or?
I haven't cleaned it anymore
Right.
because I think we need to plan it all, don't we, first?
Yeah. It looks as though, doesn't it, that all we've got are the skulls, and the feet
I
that
think the
have
rest
sort
of
of
the
gone
skeleton
off
is
in
gone.
that direction.
Yeah.
Have dropped out.
Yeah. So this is the very, the last bit of evidence that was
Yeah.
there to get. So I think it probably would be a good idea to take those out.
Part of our job here is to find the extent of the burials. And if this is an early Christian site, any traces of a church, the aerial photographs may hold some clues.
I think what's really interesting that's come up from using the GIS is looking at the aerial photograph. There's a number of features which we can kind of see.
Yeah, there's definitely something there, isn't there? Sort of rectilinear. That's great because you can't see that on the ground at all. There's nothing there at all.
This is a big feature. I mean, if we actually just measure up from there, this is sort of 23 metres across there, and then extends sort of 49 metres down behind the trench.
That's quite big, yeah.
And then within that, you've got this smaller circular feature, and that's about 12 metres in diameter.
What we need to do is try and find out whether that is associated with our graves. So I guess the thing to do is get Meg to survey over that area.
The corner of the rectangular feature is inland of the coastal path, in the field alongside our dome. It could be a banked or fenced enclosure around a cemetery, but our burials are outside of it. I need to get a second and third opinion about what this thing could be.
What we can see clearly here is this return here. That's the clearest, most defined feature that we've got on this aerial photograph.
Normally, I suppose you look at that kind of circular feature and think Iron Age and think house. If you see something rectilinear like that, you either think it's modern or you might think it's Roman.
There are loads of possibilities here, and what we've got to be careful not to do is prejudge it. Context is all in archaeology, you know, and you've got to work out whether this circular feature is in some sort of context with this possible enclosure, and is that in some sort of context with the burials.
Okay.
That's your... Yes. And you've got to work out the extent of it. Is this enclosure the extent of the archaeology here?
Meg's got every toy out of the Geophys toy box to try and give us a target to dig on this feature. But after 4 hours of radar, resistivity and magnetometry, she's less than impressed with the results.
We're really targeting that particular corner because you can see it the best in the photo.
That looks like a linear feature to me.
It does indeed look like a linear feature, but then so does this, and we've got a little bit of a pattern here, and you've got to wonder if it isn't geological in nature. Instead of our corner being like this in the data, we've got something that's oriented like this, which is completely just completely opposite.
Well, there's a real danger, isn't there, looking at this and seeing these features and thinking we've got archaeology.
Absolutely.
And it really isn't archaeology.
Yeah.
It's too big a risk. To tie up time and resources on something so archaeologically indistinct that it could be geology. With no chance of extending a survey into the conifer plantation, Meg's going to concentrate her efforts into giving us one final digging target, near the cliff edge. Katie's trench is well advanced. She seems to be coming down on stonework, which may be the first signs of a stone-lined grave.
Ooh, I saw that. Well, this is starting to look really good. We've got vertical-looking stone here, and another flat one here. So this looks that's probably the top of a grave.
This looks just
the
like
side
the
of it coming down.
cliff, yeah.
And look at this big void going down under there.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the ones in the cliffside have actually got voids underneath the top slabs.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them. Yeah.
Looks like we've just clipped it right in the corner. Of course.
Of course.
And of course, it looks like there's another one over here. You see?
That's very high up, though, isn't it?
It is high, but look at the colour of the soil. It's very dark.
It's completely different.
Yeah. So that to me looks it's possibly the end of the grave, and it's possibly going off in that direction.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so annoying though. It always happens in the corner.
Typical, isn't it?
I'm just beginning to wonder whether Meg's Geophys survey was actually showing not a rectangle in the middle, but actually graves on either side.
I thought this last night when I looked at it, when she was saying there was this rectangular shape that was 4 metres by 2 metres, I was saying, well, could it not be 2 graves in a row making that 4 metres?
Yeah.
And then a gap and then another one.
Probably what's happened.
Yeah.
But this is great.
This is fantastic.
And if this is the top, then hopefully it's going to be really well preserved as well underneath. I think we're going to have to extend the trench, which means moving back all that spoil.
Under the spoil heap.
Before we can find out if this is an intact burial, we're going to have to shift 4 tons of soil. The grave could provide all of the answers we've been searching for, the age and sex of the long-dead occupant.
What started with a park ranger viewing a grave through a pair of binoculars in a cliff face has turned into an incredibly complex site. The grave is part of a cemetery. We don't know what age as yet. The geophysical survey is turning up hotspots all over the place, so it's easy for us to get carried away with a gem of a place like this. And we mustn't forget our original specific objective, and that's rescue archaeology. So Alice is going to go back over the cliff and continue to document it further northward, see if she can see more graves. Katie's going to extend her trench a little bit, see if she can come down on top of a complete burial. And Meg's going to reaffirm some of her geophysical interpretation. So it's our last morning. I wish we had a month of them. Alice, what's left to do on the cliff face?
Well, Jim and I have planned half of it from the platform yesterday, and we've just got the other 2 graves to plan. There are 4 graves down there, sticking out of the cliff. You can see them really nicely now. And we have rescued all the bits of bone that were falling out of the cliff. They're pretty fragmentary, though. Tiny little bits of cranium that can't really give you much of a clue as to who that person was that was buried.
Right.
So I've got good hopes for these trenches up here, and hopefully we'll get some better bone specimens out.
But they're good enough for a C14 date at the moment?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Meg spent most of yesterday trying to locate a mysterious rectangle in the adjacent field. Today, she swapped her radar for a mattock.
Primary goal of our work here is to establish what's going on with these burials that are eroding out of the cliff edge.
Yeah.
But what I was interested in is this spot right here that looks the same, but actually is back a bit, almost 10 meters from the cliff edge, to see if the cemetery would actually go back at all and not all be eroded out.
Okay. And if you come down on top of something then, I guess you could infer other areas within your GPR?
Yeah, it's all trying to classify things so that we don't have to excavate the whole area. If we have a number of spots that we can say, all right, we excavated over 2-3 of these spots, they are in fact burials. Let's assume then that this signature in the radar data is probably, not definitely, but probably a burial.
It's important to find out if these signatures are burials, but with only 6 hours of daylight left, it's going to be a tall order. To compound our time problem, Katie's uncovered another stone-lined grave in a trench.
So this is probably a later grave. It's a really nicely built structure. They've got these horizontal slabs and vertical slabs.
Yeah.
I think they've taken a lot of care if they're dead.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what's the plan of action now?
Well, I'm extending this all the way back here to reveal this grave. And we're going to uncover the stones, reveal the skeleton. Alice can have a look at it, we'll record it all properly, lift it, and then go down onto the skeleton.
So that means shifting all that stuff?
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of work to do in one day.
With all of the evidence pointing to an early Christian cemetery, Wynne suggested that he and I went to church. St. Ishmael's was once the centre of a thriving medieval community, the church itself dating from the 11th century. Though much modernised through the ages, it contains relics from a time before the church and its cemetery came into existence. A fine collection of early Christian crosses.
This clearly is broken because the top of the head of the cross has gone. You can just about see where it's going to move up. Now, what are they doing? What are they for? They're either gravestones or they can be used as boundary markers. In other words, when you came into the church's land, this cross would mark the division, as it were. And that was important. If you were a fugitive seeking sanctuary, in the case of some of these major Welsh churches, the sanctuary area can be as much as 3,000 acres. Because you come in there with your retinue, with your army, with your family, with your flocks and herds. And therefore you had to have a space, and you had to know where the boundary was.
In the future, yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
If you just go behind the font and bring that smaller one.
The small one?
Yeah.
It's quite a heavy one.
This could be a grave marker, right, rather than a cross. In other words, the sort of sites we're looking at on the cliffs, which in any sense is at the opposite end of this. This is a major clerically staffed mother church, Episcopal church perhaps of the 9th, 10th and 11th centuries. The site on the cliff is the precursor to this.
Okay.
And an early Christian community with an open cemetery who hadn't thought at that point of creating a church and moving into a churchyard for churchyard burial.
Yeah.
Their graves might have been marked by things like this. Yes.
Yeah. Do you think we find something like this on our site?
I think this is slightly later, but this is the kind of thing we would be looking for.
Sure.
Not maybe even as big as this, and not with a cross, but a much simpler ring cross.
Yeah.
And maybe a small inscription.
It's obvious that there are no upstanding grave markers on our site, though they may have fallen over and been buried by the passage of hundreds of years.
That's exactly the kind of stuff that you should be looking for, certainly, because that's what I've got in that trench. When they cut the grave, they would have taken out the fill and then just put it straight back in. So the difference in the soil colour is going to be really hard to see.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
But I think you're on something there.
Good. Excellent.
With Katie's trench enlarged, the full extent of the new tiny grave is revealed.
Grave's a lot smaller than what we first thought.
Yeah, and can you guess what's going to be in this kind of size grave?
Yeah.
It's going to be a little baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always really sad, I think, digging up babies. But it kind of brings to home as well that there must have been a much higher infant mortality rate, in the past than there is today.
So are we going to go about excavating this then?
Well, it'll be the same process that I use all the time. You take the last thing off first. So I'm going to have to just start peeling back all these stones. And then I'll probably come onto the soil that they put over the skeleton. We'll remove the soil and then probably come down onto the skeleton.
Okay. All right.
All right. So the other thing that we have to look out for when we're lifting these stones is for any engravings on the other side, because that quite often happens. So
sure. Okay.
just keep an eye out for that.
It's strange. I honestly thought that I'd be
really excited, but it's really sombre, you know?
Yeah. And it's kind of even sadder the way they've taken so much care with the burial as well, haven't they? They've really, obviously, really.
How do you actually? How do you cope personally with that?
Well, I have to say that you just cut yourself off from it, and you know, you have to just think that what you're doing is for our knowledge now. You know, what we find out about this baby is all going to add to our knowledge of the past.
Right.
So
the only thing that I'm shoving to the forefront of my head at the moment is the fact that in 20 years' time, this is not going to be here anyway.
Well,
I mean,
exactly.
we are rescuing it.
Exactly. If we weren't here digging this, then all this information would be completely lost anyway.
Yeah.
Alice is taking one last trip over the edge, this time further along the cliff and without the safety platform, in search of more burials.
Well, this looks disturbingly like another grave, but this is just the sort of construction that we were looking at with those other ones, with these flat slabs on top. There's horizontal slabs there forming the top, and this looks like a big flat slab here. This stuff looks like natural, so presumably the fill of the grave is inside there. It's got to be planned. It's got to be photographed and planned, because again, it's obviously eroding just out of the cliff section, and it could be gone fairly quickly.
Katie's almost finished excavating the child's grave.
I think it's going to be completely empty.
Bizarre.
Well, it's not really bizarre if you think this is going to be a very, very small child. And the bones are so delicate that they're very unlikely to have survived.
Yeah.
Can you see that the soil has changed now? It's a lot more pebbly.
Yeah.
So I think, and we've also got down to the base of these stones here.
Yeah.
So I think basically we've got to the bottom of this grave.
In a way, it's I feel quite strange. We haven't found anything in the grave, in the baby grave, and all sorts of moral dilemmas that are going round in my head are put off until such a time as when we do find a complete skeleton.
At 10 centimetres then, the bottom of that is...
There's a real sense of urgency now. We're running out of time, and Alice needs to record her latest burial, the 5th found on the cliff face. Only then can she remove any of the bone fragments. For the first time on the cliff face, the eroding bones are not pieces of skull and vertebrae.
Now that is trabecular bone. You can see the way it's made out of lots of little struts, and that's what most of the bones in your foot are like. Well, most of the bones in your ankle anyway. Katie, I found a talus, an ankle bone.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is this from the cliff face?
Yes, it's from that 5th grave on the cliff face, that I've just been looking at.
Well, that's really interesting, because if you've got the foot, then that probably means that the rest of the skeleton
It certainly looks like it. I think I've got the feet and then some of the outer side of the coffin, which we haven't had on any of the other ones, have we?
No.
We've come down inside the coffin. So I've got the slabs on the outside of it.
So you've got 5 over there. I've got 4 in here.
4?
Meg's just found another one.
There's 4 in here?
Yeah, so I've got a little child's grave here.
Yeah.
An even tinier one I've just picked up to the side of it.
Yeah, that is
one
tiny.
running along underneath it, which I presume is an adult one.
Yeah.
And then one in the corner.
Yeah, so it's quite a substantial cemetery then.
It's a really dense cemetery.
Yeah.
And also what we can tell now is, because we've got a child burial, we're not looking at a monastic settlement. It's going to be a lay population.
Yeah. I think it's lovely how they have taken the same care and trouble to construct the graves for the children.
It suggests to me what you've got here is a family group, or generations of a family, rather than an ascetic monastic community. And that raises the question of the relationship of this site to what's happening down on the site of the parish church at St Ishmael's, which of course, as we realise, is a major class mother church, bishop house site certainly in the late Prenorm here, the 10th, 11th century, and what the relationship is, and perhaps once they stop burying here, the next generations were burying down there.
Meg has come down onto the lid of another burial. To pinpoint a single burial by radar, then open a 1 by 2 metre trench and reveal a complete grave is an absolutely amazing piece of survey work. It's all falling into place. It's starting to look like our cemetery was the precursor to St Ishmael's, which we know is 11th century. We now have enough bone fragments for carbon-14 dating, but as yet, we don't know anything about the individuals who were buried here. Time's running out and we're losing the light, but we committed to seeing this excavation through to the end.
Well, it's all hands to the pump at the moment. We've got the 2 trenches open and we're trying to come down on top of 2 very prominent graves. And the delivery team and myself are all helping out under the watchful eye of both the archaeologists.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. You know, it's the end of the day, and this really is meant to be the end of the excavation. As I said, we are going to have to continue tomorrow, but I'm just really excited to have a look in Meg's grave, so I'm going to go and have a look, if that's all right.
The capping stones over Meg's grave are ready to be lifted.
The stones off in the reverse order, so that they were laid down when the grave was created.
Each stone needs to be carefully checked for inscriptions.
We should probably look for inscriptions on the outside, so you can flip and bean and check it. Ooh, it's nice. Ooh, you can see these side stones in here, coming straight back.
The mood is definitely one of sombre anticipation.
Most of the times when I'm excavating a grave, it's because if I didn't, then somebody's going to destroy it anyway. So I think it's really important that we do excavate this, because then we can show what is here, because the coast is eroding. But at the same time, the foresters are putting all these trees up right next to the archaeology to stabilise the coast, which is also doing damage to the archaeology. So, you know, if we can dig this, we can say how deep the archaeology is, and in the future, people can just be very careful where they put paths, where they put trees. You know, so it's good. It's good to do this.
As the final stones are lifted, it's clear that the grave is full of soil, with no trace of a skeleton.
Got it? Uh-huh. All right. Okay. It's not too heavy.
Oh my god.
What? I see the skull. Skull, yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that.
That is amazing.
Wow. You can see, yeah, you just see the top of the skull and the dome of it there.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's fantastic. It just looks really well preserved. It's not broken. It's just...
Just a bit strange for you. I mean, I know you've revealed skeletons quite a bit before. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen a skeleton. You as well.
Really? Yeah.
You're looking a bit sheepish, you're not?
Well, the problem is I've been getting so excited about this, and then suddenly, you know, this whole skull is revealed.
In order to lift the skull, it's essential that we remove the final stone, but it's firmly embedded in the wall of the trench.
Okay, so you've got where you wanted to be, lifting the stones. What's the plan from now?
We certainly can't, you know, go any further with excavating the skeleton, because the next thing that needs to happen is that stone needs to be removed.
Yeah,
and in order to do that, you've got to extend the trench. It means that you can then see the whole grave, you can see the grave cut, all of that sort of thing. Phil, do you think that sounds like a reasonable plan? I don't really think we should go any further with this tonight. I think we should leave it.
I think you're right. I mean, it's going in under the section, isn't it?
It is,
so
yeah.
you need to widen up the trench, and best will in the world, this sort of light is
it's stranger
not
eyes,
ideal,
isn't it?
is it? So yeah.
How important is it to lift the skeleton?
When we cut into the ground here, we made a commitment to seeing it all the way through the whole process. And we can't just dig down to something, see, oh, it is burial, yes, confirm what we think it is, and then close it up because the evidence will be lost. We'll have done something almost for nothing. And honestly, if we have issues like that, we shouldn't have opened it up, period.
After 14 hours of excavation yesterday, the team are back on site early to finish what we've started. The first big surprise of the day is when we examine the newly cleaned capping stones from the grave. One of them has an inscribed cross, a very crude and possibly very early Christian symbol.
I don't know about you, Katie, but this was an absolutely incredible find.
Yeah.
And there's a wealth of geological information in this tablet, and the first thing that struck me was this line across here. And on the top half of it, there's a lot of lichen growth, and it's incredibly well weathered. It's been exposed to the elements for a substantial amount of time, whereas down below there, no lichen and very little weathering.
Yeah, you're quite right. You can see there's quite a big difference between this area and this area. It's carved bit narrower, isn't it? And this bit is wider. So it looks to me as though this was actually once standing at the head of a grave with this bit inserted into the ground and this bit standing upright.
So it actually predates our skeletons.
Absolutely, it's been reused inside our grave.
I tell you something else that I picked up on as well is that, see the corners of the cross? Yeah, they're actually drilled in place and then they've probably chiselled it right the way across. So it's quite a crude method of inscribing the cross.
And the other thing that we can tell from this cross, just from the design of it, is that it's probably around 6th century.
With the two baby graves empty, Katie has removed the capping stones on the adult grave and is starting to find fragments of badly decomposed bone. The acid soil has almost completely destroyed the skeleton. Over in Meg's trench, the side wall has been cut back to reveal the full extent of the grave.
We're just about to lift this stone over the head of the burial. Are you ready, Meg?
I am ready.
If it's too heavy, give me a shout. You all right?
Let's stick one.
Here we go.
The vault of the skull seems to be almost completely intact. There may be enough for Alice to determine the sex and the age of the individual.
You can actually feel the mastoid process.
Okay.
Just on my fingertip there, so that's intact, which is good because that's...
What's that, your teeth?
No, it's just behind your ear. You've got a strap-like muscle that actually turns your head from side to side, that runs down your neck. That's where it detaches. That's much larger in males than in females. And then all your neck muscles attach onto a lump on the back of your head called the external occipital protuberance. And that is a great jutting out thing in males. The next time you see a bloke with a shaved head, have a look at the back of his head, because you can see a sort of lump sticking out. And women don't have that. They have a nice smooth back to their head.
Katie's skull is in much worse condition, but the teeth are giving some clues to the age of the individual.
You see these teeth, some of them have fallen out. Look how worn they are.
God, yeah.
Look at that. This one.
One right down, yeah.
There's only so much osteoanalysis that can be done on site. The skulls and all the bone fragments are carefully packed in acid-free containers to be shipped back to Alice's bone lab. After all of the attached soil has been removed, it's immediately apparent that more than 80% of the skeletons have been destroyed in the acid soil. Fragments have been carbon-14 dated and have given us a very early medieval date of 734 AD. We also know a lot more about both individuals.
So what can you tell me about the two skeletons, Alice?
Well, this skeleton here is the one from the grave that Meg and I were excavating.
Right.
And as I thought at the time, this does look like a female skull. It's got a fairly rounded frontal, not much in the way of brow ridges above the eyes. And also the back of the skull is nice and rounded with no particular bits sticking out as well. That's female looking to me.
OK, let's see how good you are. An age.
I can't give you an accurate age on this at all. All I've got is the top of the skull. Now, one of the things which does change with age are that the sutures start to close. Can you see these zigzag lines here, which are fairly indistinct on this one? So they have closed as the person's got older. It's very variable when they close, so I'm not going to say anything more than it was an older person. It's
An
not
older
a
person.
teenager.
Okay, an adult female then.
Yeah,
Okay.
an adult female.
What about this one?
This one over here, I can't give a sex to. I've said it's indeterminate sex because some of the features in it are male and some of the features seem to be female. It's always easier if you've got a pelvis, but we haven't on this one. But I can give you an age.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that you were picking up on when we were excavating was that some of the teeth look quite worn.
Yeah.
This one here, the cusps have been completely worn off. You can see that dentine is exposed. But that's a first molar. That comes through around the age of 6. So that is going to be the most worn of all the molars. So if we look at the third molars, the wisdom teeth, so these are the ones that come through, again, around the age of 18. It varies quite a lot. And you can see that there's no dentine exposed on that. There's a bit of polishing and the cusps have been worn down a little bit, but there's no dentine exposed. So in fact, although that tooth is incredibly worn compared with teeth nowadays, this isn't a particularly old individual. It's probably somebody in their 20s.
And why would it be so worn, though?
Because of the different diet that they were eating. They were eating a much more abrasive diet. There's a lot more grit in the diet from quernstones used to grind up corn and things.
With all of the radar data processed into a 3D cube, the extent of the cemetery has become apparent.
Well, the ground-penetrating radar survey gives us the evidence that we need to say this is in fact a cemetery. We had targets, we excavated them, they are burials. So now we can say the rest of the targets in the area, and there are probably 20 and possibly even more, are actually burials.
This is fantastic, isn't it? Just from such a small beginning, a few bones sticking out of the cliff face, we've really pulled together so much data. We've shown that this is a Christian burial site with east-west aligned graves. It probably started around the 6th century and continued in use until about the 8th century. We didn't find the church, but let's hope that somebody in the future might find that. And then the population probably moved towards St Ishmael's in the 10th, 11th century.
And now that I've done my assessment on the bones, and we've got the radiocarbon dates as well, the bones themselves are going to go back to St Ishmael's and get reburied.
With all of the archaeology removed from the path and cliff edge, the site was restored by park rangers. If in the near future more erosion takes place, then the coastal path can be moved inland, safe in the knowledge that no more graves will be disturbed. All over Britain, there are archaeological sites that are too dangerous to access or excavate. They could contain unique and valuable evidence of our past, which, if not investigated, will be lost forever. EXA is a team of highly skilled archaeologists. Katie Hurst, in charge of excavation. Alice Roberts, doctor and expert in human bones. Meg Waters, geophysicist and digital imaging specialist. All experts in their chosen fields who are determined to get into these inhospitable places to forensically assess, survey and extract the evidence. The expedition leader will be me, Mark Davis, volcanologist, climber, caver and diver. This is archaeology on the very edge. This week we plumb in the depths beneath Gloucestershire, searching for signs of Stone Age man. This is the Forest of Dean, a lush and ancient woodland covering over 27,000 acres on the border of England and South Wales.
13 years ago, a group of cavers were following this stream as it disappeared down through a hole in the ground. What they discovered turned out to be Britain's 10th longest cave system. Now, as they began to penetrate deeper and deeper, they unearthed human and animal bones, including this mammoth tooth, a species which disappeared from Britain well over 10,000 years ago.
Was it a one-off find? Was this cave system a treasure trove?
EXA's objective is to find evidence of habitation for Stone Age man in and around this cave system. But in order to do that, we must first prepare ourselves for a long, strenuous and dangerous expedition just to get to the excavation site in the first place.
The caves are chillingly called Slaughter Stream. We will be the first archaeologists to set foot in them. Let's hope we are not the last. Our task is to establish if the caves contain valuable Ice Age archaeology. We'll be spending a lot of time underground, but the delivery team will be on hand to ensure our safety. We are going into the caves via an entrance created by the cavers a couple of metres away from Slaughter Stream.
I think in no uncertain terms this is probably the most physically demanding site we've investigated. So if anyone is feeling really tired, even if it's just an hour into the system, you know, do say and tell one of the delivery team, okay? Katie, there's a number of sites that we told there's bones in, so there's a lot of excavation food, but I think the thing to do is to go to the first one, and if it looks good, let's just work there, not try and, you know, bite off more than we can chew by going too deep into the system. And Alice, if we've been told by the cavers that there's absolutely a wealth of bones down there, so it'll be great for you, so if you can work with Katie to start off with. And we've had a specific request, Meg, from the caving group to try and locate other entrances to the cave system. So I guess if you go down and see how the caving system lies and then come back up, take a look at the GIS and see if you can find any, and that'll be magic, yeah?
We do have a reasonably strict time limit, 8 hours underground. It's because when we're underground, things tend to take a lot more out of you than they do on the surface. You know, when we're digging and when we're, you know, just sorting through the archaeology, you'll be twice as tired down there.
It sounds hideous.
We've all got small cameras on our helmets, as some parts of the cave are too tight for our cameraman to work safely. This will be the last daylight we'll see for 8 hours. Our first target is the cross-stream junction, where an ancient hippo tooth was found by the cavers. It's only 100 metres in, but it's going to take a couple of hours to get to there. The first stage is climbing straight down almost 15 metres of narrow fixed ladders, previously installed by the cavers.
Okay, I'm down!
Meg is first in, and is closely followed down by the rest of the team.
I'm not a natural caver, that's for sure. It's not a place that I would choose to be.
So, are there 4 of these ladders to go down?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they put this tight to the wall, don't they? Shoulders can't get in.
At the bottom, Meg's about to face her first real test.
My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of the tightest squeezes, but
It's not?
You'll have to take the cap off, you know. It's always going to be awkward.
Trev, I don't know about this.
Do you find that quite worrying?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a squeeze.
It's getting really tight. Oh, I don't like this.
13 years ago, when the cavers entered Slaughter Stream, the place was littered with bones. They were carefully retrieved and brought to the surface.
They found that right by the entrance to the cave. Isn't that a beauty? That's an almost complete beaver skull.
Yeah.
It needn't necessarily be very old. There were beavers around in this part of the world up to the 13th century. If you want something a bit more special, right, that I think is an aurochs. That's one of these wild cattle. It's the distal, the far end of a radius, so that's the equivalent of the human wrist just there. But of course, in a cow, you've got quite a bit of leg, which is actually made up of toe beyond that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an aurochs. Aurochs were around in Britain till the Bronze Age, really. They're just in the early Bronze Age. So you know that's quite an impressive find. And this is what you wanted to see. This funny-looking little object is actually the very back end of a big tooth, a tooth that would have been about so big, and it's on the left side. It's the last lower molar of a mammoth, woolly mammoth. And the teeth come through one after the other. The cheek teeth come through, so this is sort of back here in the jaw.
Okay.
That's a nice find there. And this is taking us back into the last ice age. This has to be at least 10,000 years old, and it's probably quite a lot older. That's an impressive age range for a very small group of material.
"10,000 years ago, when mammoth roamed the Forest of Dean, so did ancient man. This means there could be ancient human and animal bones in the caves. Our task is to find them and bring them to the surface." We're in a labyrinth of solid limestone caves, formed over hundreds of thousands of years. Our guide is Paul Taylor from the Forest of Dean Caving Group, but he's got a word of warning.
We have had one accident on this pitch in front where the guy fell 15 feet.
Really?
And that was because the anchor fell off where they'd put their ladder.
Oh, gosh.
Came off and he fell 15 feet.
Was he all right?
Broken leg and a broken jaw.
Yeah.
And about 6 or 7 hours to get him out.
Oh,
just from here.
no.
So, you all right?
Yeah. What exactly attracts you to coming down these places?
I miss my life. I mean, just totally do it all the
I think
time.
you are completely insane.
Well, Katie, I think we should look at ourselves first, because we do seem to end up doing this all the time.
We are 25 metres below the surface, but amazingly, we've only travelled 7 metres into the cave. With a big team, we're moving in single file and waiting for people to catch up. So everything is taking twice as long. As we squeeze further in and further down, oxygen levels will drop, as will the temperature. We'll tire quickly, and if we get wet, there is a risk of hypothermia. We've finally reached the balcony pitch. Next, we've got a 10-metre drop into the darkness to the next level. The only way down is on a rope.
Amazing drop.
Mark, this is an amazing chamber.
And it just...
And this is all made by just water action on the
all
rock.
water action.
Yeah.
All water action, yeah. It needs, the water needs to be acidic. Okay, take in! So the water rushes off. As soon as it comes into contact with the limestone, it begins to etch away and start excavating down through all the little cracks that were put in place when all this rock, and bear in mind this is marine rock, it used to be underneath the sea, when all this was squashed together and big fractures and fissures everywhere.
To add to the delay, we're dragging down the latest in video technology to try and set up a communication link with the surface.
This is the bit I'm not looking forward to.
You'll be all right.
Because it looks horrible.
After 3 hours underground, we're 50 metres down, but only 30 from the entrance. We've used up half our allocated time here. We haven't reached the first site, and we still have to tackle one of the toughest parts of the cave. We are 50 metres under the Forest of Dean, looking for evidence that Stone Age man lived in this labyrinth of caves. We are still heading to our first excavation site, the Cross-Stream Junction. It's only another 23 metres away, but we are faced with a squeeze we've all been dreading. In places, it's barely 5 inches wide, so we have to breathe in to get through. There are 2 streams running through the caves. If the cold and wet wasn't bad enough, some of the streams carry untreated human sewage.
Everyone all right?
Yeah, not that happy, really. But
why?
Well, it's just a bit of a miserable place, isn't it? Just all the squeezes, and it's very cold down here as well.
That is the scariest thing I've ever done.
Really?
Squeezing through that tunnel.
Yeah.
And I kept on thinking, I'm nearly there. And then Paul would say, well, that's halfway. And I'm like, okay.
Well, you've done it. I mean, that's the thing. You've got in, so
Yeah.
it's good. The only... Mike, how long have they got? 3/4 an hour?
Less than an hour, yeah, and then we've got to really start making our
Right,
way out.
can we say that it's now 4 o'clock? Can we say that 4:45, everyone has to be back at this stream junction?
It doesn't matter what you're finding. If we say move, we mean move.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Meg and I are going upstream to dig on a silt bank on which cavers originally found some bones. Katie and Alice are heading downstream to where a hippo tooth was found 13 years ago.
When they first broke in to the cave and came downstream, the hippo tooth was literally just lying here, just there.
Well, was it on the surface?
Just on the surface. There was no excavations done. I mean, it was almost one of the first bones that they found.
If the hippo tooth was actually on the surface, the stuff underneath is going to be really old. It's going to be even older than 50,000 years old.
Yeah, unless, of course, the hippo tooth was washed out of older sediments further upstream, and then it could be lying on top of younger sediments.
Yeah.
We've got less than half an hour left, so Meg and I are starting our excavations.
Okay. Oh, this is it. This is it. Yeah. Okay, Meg.
Well, we've
Good.
not got long, so you better do what you've got to do.
We'll just do a 1 meter swath like this, I think just down here on the edge coming off of the wall. And what's important actually is we're going to have to measure the depth of the features when we find them, although I imagine that you have some sort of churning around of soil and artifacts and things with the water. But I think what we'll do is we'll just measure down. We'll fix a point in the ceiling that we use as a main location, and we'll measure down from there.
Right.
I'll do 1 meter across.
We are looking for human and animal bones dating back 50,000 years. That's in the last ice age. As a volcanologist, it's a time frame I understand. But archaeologists have their own way of dividing up the period they call the Stone Age.
Well, the Stone Age refers to the whole period of human activity in Britain up until you get metal cultures. So there's the Paleolithic period, which is the majority of the Stone Age. That covers the whole of the Ice Age and really just up to the very end of it. Then you've got the Mesolithic period, which in Britain is quite long. It lasts up until, say, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. Yeah. And tacked on at the end of that, you've got a Neolithic period, which is the new Stone Age. And then you move into the Bronze Age.
Within a 5-mile radius, the Wye Valley is littered with artifacts and bones dating from the Paleolithic period. Why did early man choose to live here, and what was Britain like back then?
Well, over the last 600,000 years or so, there have been people in Britain, but they've been coming and going, mainly in the warmer periods until you get right up to the end of the Ice Age. And they would be moving into an environment which was inhabited by lots of quite large animals, large mammals. Right. And depending on exactly what period of time you're talking about, those animals change. We can work out roughly where we are during the Ice Age according to what animals were turning up in association with human activity.
With no time left for excavations, Katie and Alice are going further downstream in search of bones.
Oh, wow. This is gorgeous. It's like a rainstorm. Wow.
The caving team have promised us that there's no sewage in this part of the cave.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Back on our site, we've run out of time.
Hey guys, hate to ruin the party, but it's time to start packing up. We've already gone over cut-off point, so we need to literally pack up now. The other guys have come up in the chamber, so we're going to start getting them moving.
Okay.
It's a huge disappointment. We found nothing in the sediment. Next time we come in, we'll start excavating the area where the hippo tooth was discovered. 6 hours underground and we dreading the return trip. We wet, cold and bruised from all the squeezing and crawling, and now we are faced with a 10-metre climb up a rope ladder.
That's it. Whoa! Keep your feet off the wall, Katie. That's not good.
I did exactly what Mike told me not to do, which was to put my feet on the wall. Then moved just a stone. It's just really dangerous. It's really stupid. It's just so tiring though, coming up there. I just wanted somewhere to put my feet other than the step ladder.
Well, 8.5 hours later, we've plummeted to the depths, got to the excavation site. As yet, got no significant finds that tell us that Stone Age man did actually live down in the cave system. It's hard to imagine, actually, how they could have access down to where we were. And at the moment, my gut feeling is any finds that we come across must have been washed in with all the intricate stream beds that plough down through the ground. Yesterday was about logistics. It was an absolute nightmare. The sheer size of the team meant that there was a number of bottlenecks right the way down through the cave system. And that's not good for morale because people begin to get cold and pretty miserable. So what we've decided to do today is to split the team into two groups, an underground and a surface party, and that'll make us far more efficient. Katie and Alice will go back down to the excavation site and continue their search for evidence of Stone Age artefacts. Meg and myself will come up on the surface and we'll hunt around for other possible entrances to this cave system.
You know we've got the worst of it to come here.
You're joking.
Yesterday was only to, the first base camp we've got to get to the real sort of sections of extreme. We've got to go to all the really tight areas and actually climb up some quite high rock faces down there.
Well, how much further is that from where we were?
About another hour.
Another hour?
In a smaller team, Katie and Alice are moving a lot quicker. They've reached Cross Stream Junction in just 1.5 hours. That's half the time it took yesterday. So our plan is working, but it is taking its toll.
Oh, my knees have got so many bruises on them. It hurts.
They're going to dig on a sediment bank where cavers found a hippo tooth. The hippo died out in Britain over 50,000 years ago, in the last ice age.
This is probably the best area in here. If we put a slot through here.
Right, so we get sections.
Exactly, we'll go through all the sediments. And I think this is actually where the hippo bone was found in the first place.
I think it was just about around there, so seems like a good place to start.
So if we take some of these boulders out. I'll just sort of mark it out.
Yeah.
Something like that. So what we'll try and do is work our way through the layers.
Yeah.
And record how those layers have formed.
Yeah.
And if we find any bones, then we'll know
what level they were found.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can start giving an indication of time-wise.
Exactly, yeah.
While Katie and Alice have been digging, delivery team leader Mike and local caver Paul have found something surprising.
Katie.
Yeah.
Alice.
Yeah.
All just happened to notice
Some
in here
Yeah.
things that you've been looking for.
That's exactly what we've been looking for.
And they're not planted. We're literally just standing here watching you guys dig.
Yeah.
And chatting and Paul just pointed them out.
I bet you feel
just
really
noticed.
smug, don't you?
You feel quite smug, don't you?
Well, I don't think it's terribly exciting.
It's a carnivore, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a dog tooth, I think, and presumably it's just dogs that have fallen down holes and, you know, got washed out.
I mean, we've got the...
I think
well
the best
done.
thing probably is just to bag them up and take them up to Andy, isn't it? Got something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tooth.
You have?
Yeah.
Any idea what it is?
I've actually no idea, but it's certainly it's not human.
No, it's not.
And I don't think it's hippo either.
It's really weird, isn't it? It's all sort of...
It is very strange. It's almost like it's got two roots fused together.
Yeah.
It's an anterior tooth. It's not a cheek tooth, a molar tooth. I can tell that much. But we need somebody like Andy. I'm just going to wash it in the stream a bit then to try and clean it up
that's
for
a bit
him.
more like it. Does it look any clearer?
No, it's starting to look like a stone now. I'm so much less sure about it now. I think I've got all excited about a stone. Oh, Katie!
They've been down there for 3 hours, and all they've found are some teeth possibly from a modern domestic dog, and one that could be a stone. There doesn't appear to be any ancient bones here, so Katie and Alice are closing the trench. They heading back to Cross Stream Junction and are ready to move on to the gravity dig, where the cavers know there are more bones, but Katie's got a problem.
How far away is the next site?
Distance-wise, it's only about 100 metres.
Right.
So it's time-wise,
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Depends on how long it takes you to get through the little tight piece, really.
Yeah, because I know it sounds really pathetic, but I think I should go back up because I don't feel too good.
I don't think that's pathetic. I think if you're feeling tired,
yeah,
if you push yourself further,
I just
you've
think
got that
I'm
much
going
further
to
to go
really
back.
struggle getting back up to the top as it is. And
You feeling really tired now?
yeah, I'm just shaking.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
you back up and we'll
Yeah.
just go slowly and take it easy because we don't want to rush you if you're not feeling great like
Yeah.
this.
Okay, well, go steady.
Yeah. I hate this ladder. I've got absolutely no strength left in my arms.
We are 50 metres under the Forest of Dean, in the Slaughter Stream Caves, the first archaeologists to have excavated down here. We're looking for human and animal bones dating from over 50,000 years ago, back in the last ice age. But the cave is beating us. We've crawled, scrambled, contorted our bodies, and all we've found are modern animal bones. And as yet, we don't know how they got in here. It's the team's second trip down, and Katie, our lead archaeologist, has dropped out exhausted.
Hi, Katie. You all right?
Yeah, I just felt so shaky down there. I just didn't think I should stay down.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's best that you come out straight away anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
because if you got even more tired,
Yeah.
getting you out would have been a pain. What's the matter?
I'm just not feeling very well, and I feel really weak and shaky. And they were going to head off, and it was going to take at least 40 minutes there and back.
Yeah.
So, and it was going to be really tight.
Coffee?
Oh, thanks. So, I mean, I didn't even have the strength to get up that long ladder. They had to haul me up.
They hauled you up, is that?
Yeah. So.
Not feeling too good at all.
Yeah. I'm just not on top form at the moment.
Alice is still deep underground on her way to the gravity dig. With Meg and Katie back up top, she's the last remaining member of the archaeological team.
Oh, really?
4 hours into the caves, and at last she's spotted something.
It's too sharp. Yeah, it is much too sharp.
For a...
human. But the top end of it here is quite sort of similar shape.
What kind of bone is that within the body?
It's a radius, so in other words it's one of your forearm bones down here.
It's very thin.
Yeah, it is.
Could this be the ancient bone we've been looking for? Further upstream, Alice has found more.
Some bigger bits.
Okay. Well, I think that's human.
What makes you think?
Looks like a human shin bone, which is down here, obviously. And this is the lump that you can feel on the inside of your ankle.
That's really exciting.
It is very exciting.
They look old, but she'll need to take a closer look back in the lab. Alice has to press on, so she'll pick them up on her way out.
How tight was that?
That was really tight. Is that the tightest bit?
That's the worst bit.
That was a real squeeze.
So we're going to be climbing up here, Alice, where you can see this trickle of water coming down. Yeah.
After squeezing, crawling and climbing, Alice is faced with another 10-metre ascent up loose rubble, just to get to the excavation site.
Okay, climbing. Oh, it's really slippery. Oh wow, I can see bones already. Just scattered over the surface here, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, I hate to ruin the party. I know we've taken all this effort to get in here, but...
Oh, Mike, don't.
We've only got 5 minutes.
5? Oh, no way.
5 minutes, so you are literally going to have to grab what you can. Have a good look now on the head cams.
Yeah, I'm just taking some photos, so... Yeah, I'm going to go and get those ones back there.
They've got a 3-hour journey back to the entrance. Perhaps it's just as well Alice doesn't know that at the top of the gravity dig, she's only 10 metres from the surface. Katie is sufficiently recovered from her underground ordeal to discuss with Andy Curran the bones from Cross Stream Junction.
Pieces here, these all seem to be dog teeth. This is the upper carnassial tooth, this is the shearing tooth.
That one I didn't recognise at all.
It's a tooth you don't often see, mainly because it's right at the back of the dog's mouth. But that's its last molar. These are little fragments that probably go with that.
From the jaw.
Huh, really?
Yeah. What else have we got? That's a stone.
Stone, I think.
Oh no, it's the root of the tooth.
This is what we found right next to the hippo tooth area.
I'm not excited by it.
You're not?
There's nothing terribly unexpected. These are the kind of animals that you expect on a modern farm.
Alice has excavated and retrieved a small collection of human bones. Could this be the evidence of early man that we're looking for?
Oh, my light's gone out! Hello! My light's gone out!
How was it? All right.
Big trip.
Yeah. Another long day.
Strenuous. We've got some
Yeah, absolutely. I'm exhausted.
pretty cool finds in there.
Oh, bag full of bones.
I think a couple of them are human. Really? Human? Yeah.
Are they in your trap?
Yeah.
Give us the bag of the bones and we'll get it cleaned up.
Brilliant.
Good, well done.
Back in the lab, Alice has cleaned up the bones and has examined them for any clues.
This was the first one I found down in the stream, and when I first saw this I wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe I was kidding myself and it was wishful thinking that it was human, but it actually is. I mean, now that I've cleaned it up and had a good look at it, it's a human radius.
So that's forearm?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it just sits there in the forearm. The other thing about it was that I noticed these marks on it. And I was thinking that they might be cut marks, so they might be evidence of defleshing, which is part of a burial ritual in some prehistoric societies. And I showed it to Andy Curran, and he immediately disabused me of that. And in fact, what it is rodent tooth marks on the bone. So a little rat has been sort of gnawing away at it. 2 fragments here of the same tibia or shin bone.
Right.
And this is also in the stream. The unfortunate thing about it is that because they're all in this stream where you've got human sewage coming down, it means that they've been contaminated with more modern carbon, so we can't radiocarbon date it. All we know is that they're old. The thing which still intrigues me is how on earth they ended up down there in the cave.
These bones are old, but they are not Ice Age, and so our search continues.
We're in grave danger of collecting an enormous amount of bones with very little meaning, no story attached. So every single member of the team today has a set of specific instructions on what to target.
But I think to maximise time...
Katie will stay on the surface. In her place, we send in Jim, our field archaeologist. But this will be his first time in a cave.
I think what we're really missing at the moment is some bones from a really secure context. We need stratigraphic layers, because everything that we found at the moment has just come from the surface.
It's just been washed in, right?
Well, we assume it's been washed in.
I don't think the ones in Gravity Dig have been washed in. I think they've just fallen from the ceiling. And I think that if we dig down in there, we might find something a bit
That's what we really need to establish.
I still want to find out how the human and animal bones got down into the caves. 30 metres away from the entrance is a geological feature that could answer my question. It's a sinkhole, where the ground above a cave has collapsed, creating possible access points.
See, so this is a typical sinkhole. In fact, you could find them even smaller than that. You know, this is rather large, I think.
This is quite impressive.
Yeah. But you can imagine a stream running, you know, underneath us, etching out a bit of a cavern, and then the whole thing, like a piston, sort of collapses downwards.
If I was a farmer and I was dealing with a group of dead animals, or the odd dead animal once in a while, I wouldn't go to the trouble of digging a hole to get rid of them if I've got somewhere like this at the bottom of my field. It's a natural dustbin.
Yeah.
If we find a sinkhole above where Alice and Jim will be at the Gravity Dig, it could explain how bones got down there. Meg hasn't been able to carry out any radar survey because the ground is just too uneven. So she's working with mapping specialist Pete Wilkinson, trying to locate the Gravity Dig on the surface. Pete's using our GIS system to pinpoint the Gravity Dig. Then, if there's a sinkhole above it, Pete will find it.
So what I've done here, Mark, is I've taken the information from the GIS and I've extracted it onto the Pocket device. So now we can bring it out into the field to use. We've marked on the sinkhole that we want to try and find. So I'm just going to use this tool to draw a line between the two. And that's going to tell me that it's a distance of about, well, between 14 and 15 metres, and it's on a bearing of about 70 degrees.
Yeah.
So if you can tell me which way north is, if we can walk in about 14 metres in that direction.
Okay, well, north's in that direction,
so bearing of about 72 degrees.
Let me set it up.
And it's about 14 metres.
In fact, it works out that it should be just down on the stream bed, so we just have a little...
Great. So Alice and the group are just below us here.
They should be just 10 metres below us.
Wow. This is obviously, it's a little stream bed. It's not a sinkhole.
Yeah, you've got to put it in the whole geological context.
Yeah.
I mean, in limestone terrain, the river will run across the top. Soon it'll find a crack which will start to etch out, and that becomes a sinkhole.
Right.
And that can drop down, find another plane of weakness, and carry on horizontally. So you begin to etch out a big cavern, and parts of that cavern can sort of collapse on it.
Sure,
so one minute you've got a sinkhole, and there's animals falling into it, and then the next minute it can be filled up again. So these things tend to switch on and switch off.
The sinkhole above the Gravity Dig may be a dry stream bed now, but I'm certain that sinkholes have been opening and closing above the cave for thousands of years. This could explain how the ancient animal bones got down there.
Alice!
Alice!
Hello!
You made it!
How's it going up there?
It's pretty good. I hadn't seen it before, so I'm just sort of having a quick look around and getting the lay of the land.
Brilliant. Hey, Jim.
Hi, Alice.
How are you?
I'm really cold.
What have you done?
Well, at the moment, what I've done is I've sketched and measured out this cone of material that we've got collapsing down from the hole in the roof. So what I'm just trying to do now, I've been collecting material from different sections in it, and now I'm cutting down into the bottom.
When you say material, bones?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling a bit cold now.
It is really chilly up
I
here.
know, for some reason it's much colder up in this section of the cave, and I've been up here for a good hour or so now. So.
Well, do you want to go down to the bottom and go through Wonder?
Yeah. I think what I'll do is just sort of wander around to just warm myself up.
Yeah. Go and get warm.
Alrighty. So my feet are freezing.
There's a cold draft at the top of the gravity dig, and the temperature has plummeted to a few degrees above zero.
You're not doing so well.
I just can't get my body temperature up again. I'm just a bit concerned.
Okay, and you've got really cold hands as well, haven't you?
Freezing cold hands.
Cold hands, cold toes, alright.
My feet are like blocks of ice.
All right, but you've had something to drink, haven't you?
I've had some glucose tablets, something to drink.
Okay, well, let's get you out. We'll get out slowly, because the longer you're down here, the worse it gets, obviously.
Yeah,
so we'll take you out now. And so let's just take it slowly but steadily out of here.
Alice is the last member of the team still working, but she's not alone.
Alice, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Good. What was that about Jim?
Well, when I got here, he was looking really cold actually, and he went down to warm up. But he's feeling pretty ill, so he's coming back up to the surface.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
It's all that mud on your hands.
It's the mud, and it's the fact I've just got no energy left. The climbers said that, I needed to get out, and I disagreed with them and said, no, I need to stay and all this kind of stuff. And apparently I've just been told that's one of the symptoms of hypothermia, is that you become irrational. I don't think I had hypothermia, but I was certainly a bit irrational about it. But when I started stumbling around and falling over, I realised I'd probably better move. And it's good that I did, because it was very, very tough getting out of there.
In our search for Ice Age bones, it's Mike, not an archaeologist, who heads deeper into the 14-kilometre cave system with Paul.
Onto my belly. And I know we've got at least another half an hour, maybe even 45 minutes ahead of us at this kind of level of crawling.
Only experienced cavers can travel this far into the caves. It's extreme, even by Mike's standards. They're 150 metres below the surface and 3 kilometres from the entrance. Paul wants to show Mike possible evidence of previous life in the caves.
You really can see.
Oh wow, look at that.
They are footprints.
Most certainly.
The prints look like they belong to a small dog. It can't have wandered in by the same route we've taken. It must have come in another way. But what happened to it? And where are the tracks taking us? Mike, leader of the EXA delivery team, is 4 kilometres from the entrance of Slaughter Stream Caves. He's on the trail of some animal tracks that are leading deeper into the cave system, leading them to a perfectly preserved dog skeleton.
There's a lot of reduction in size from a living animal down to its bones and to this kind of carcass size. So it was a good-sized dog.
The cavers found the skeleton 13 years ago and quite reasonably won't allow it to be taken out. Experts have examined photos and have said it could be a hunting dog up to 10,000 years old.
I've just got this really horrible vision of this poor dog wandering through here, banging his head, because he would have had to jump up and down certain parts of it. It's pitch black down here. There's no way whatsoever that he's going to be able to see.
Back at the gravity dig, Alice is using the fibre optic link to show the dome what she's found.
I've got Andy with me. You've got some bones to show him, correct?
Certainly have. They're the ones that Jim has been digging out. I haven't seen anything that looks like human bone. Okay, Andy, can you see this? I think it's probably a cow's jaw.
From the shape of the jaw, it's a cow. I can't quite see the teeth very well.
No, I think this is going to be a case of getting it back up to the top and cleaning
Are the
it.
teeth flat on the biting surface, or is it a saw-shaped pattern?
Trying to feel through the mud. I think they're flat.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Just a hint, it might be a horse. I don't know. I feel it's a cow. We can tell when it gets up to the surface.
But more of the... I mean, it's all domestic animal stuff,
It looks
isn't it?
domestic again, so more of the same.
Right.
It's unlikely we'll find anything older than a couple of 100 years at the gravity dig. So Alice is closing the trench. This area of the cave must have had a recent sinkhole open up over it, through which animal bones fell. It's been a disappointing trip so far. Alice is frustrated at the lack of finds. But having spent 5 hours underground, Mike has finally surfaced from his epic journey.
Hey, Mikey boy. I am completely exhausted.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Where have you been?
We ended up in this open chamber that's got big silt banks on, and littered, literally all over the top of the silt banks are bones. And you know, I wasn't going to go digging around because I know that's not what we meant. What I'm meant to be doing because I'm not an archaeologist.
You fetched back the bones though?
I didn't have any bubble wrap with me, so I had to, believe it or not, take off a woolly hat and put them in this. And I've been really careful on the way out. How are you going to tell from these? I don't know. I mean, that's your job. They all look very crumbly and small and.
Well, the first thing to say is that they're completely different preservation from everything that's come out so far.
Right.
This looks like really old bone to me.
Right. What about that?
Wow. Well, that has got to be elephant bone.
Is that right?
That's probably our old mammoth. That's got to be. Look how thick walled the bone is, and it's sort of cancellar tissue all the way through. That is really exciting. That's Pleistocene bone. That's Ice Age bone.
It's an elephant?
Yeah. Well, a mammoth, but a mammoth is an elephant, so yeah.
I'll be honest, there are a few more bones up there.
This is nice. This is very nice. This is part of the humerus. That's the elbow joint down here, and it's something really quite big. I mean, that I don't know. I'd have to compare it with other stuff. That could even be a woolly rhino.
Wow.
God.
Good job.
You've done a really good job. It's been worth coming.
It's been, that's good. I'm really pleased.
That's brilliant.
Because we did actually, we had to question whether we should pick this stuff up, but...
When did rhino go extinct?
They disappeared before the end of the last ice age, about 27,000 years ago, in Britain.
So that's the oldest, yeah.
That's
you
amazing.
had that in your woolly hat?
Yeah. I had that in my woolly hats, yeah.
Go back down and get the rest of it, go on.
It's a long way, I tell you. It's
I'm
a
pretty
couple of hours in.
confident this is old bone. This is sort of middle of the last ice age type of stuff.
Wow.
30,000 years and older.
It's wonderful.
And although these are only fragments, they're very, very exciting fragments. And this is where the mammoth tooth turned up?
Exactly where the mammoth tooth turned up.
Well, that's perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is exactly what we were searching for, because we were talking this morning that these sinkholes switch on and off, they fill up, they cement up, and then a new one opens up again. So on the gravity dig, it's all we're finding is domestic animals. So it's not really speaking that interesting, not that old. And we were speculating, wouldn't it be nice to find the gravity equivalent with old bones in it? Because if you find some of them, the chances are there's going to be a whole host of stuff in there. So
I'm hesitant to say it, but there are more bones up there.
There are.
Yeah.
What are you doing up here then?
After closer examination, Andy confirmed we had found woolly mammoth and woolly rhinoceros bones. They've been dated between 30 and 50,000 years ago, the last ice age. We only went 4 kilometres into the cave system, and there's another 10 that need investigating. There may well be an Ice Age entrance to the caves somewhere in the forest. Alice is coming out with only a handful of bones. It's all she's got to show for almost 3 days of dangerous and deep excavation.
23 hours you've been down there over the last 3 days.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, 23 hours.
Well, there's plenty more.
This is the first time she's seen Mike's remarkable discoveries.
This is superb. This is better than we can have hoped for, I think.
Oh, that's what an amazing sight.
How lucky you went off on that little diversion.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this probably dates from the period when Neanderthals are coming back into Britain after a very, very long period of absence, after about 100,000 years when there were no people around.
Yeah.
And this is when we begin to pick up Paleolithic archaeology again after a really long gap. So it rather puts this cave on the map.
It's great that both you and Alice are happy.
Oh, I just think it's, it's amazing. We've had human bones out of there, we've had animal bones, we've had fossilised bones. It's just...
it's good. And
it's amazing.
for such a short period of exploration, I think it's really pushed information about the cave a long way forward.
Yeah, absolutely.